Bob, good morning.
Okay, we are streaming and recording. We can begin when you're ready, Chair.
All right, very good. Let us call the meeting to order. First order of business is to announce the next meeting, which will be February 24th in this room at 8:30 in the morning. With that, could we swear in the staff, please? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say, I do.
I do.
Very good. And with that, would you call the roll for the board, please?
Yes, Mr. Whitman,
Here?
Ms. Maniaci.
Here.
Ms. Bartley should be coming. Mr. Loversige.
Here.
Mr. Pongonis.
Here.
And Mr. Slanik.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum.
Very good. And could you give us the overview of the hearing format, please, Belkis?
Yes, so city staff will present the staff report and application materials. And then the applicant will come and sit at the presenter table, be sworn in and asked to present their materials. And then any registered speakers, which we don't have, but if there's any in the audience, they will be provided 3 minutes each to speak. And then the commissioners will discuss the case and have any questions if needed.
Very good. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting, please?
So moved.
Okay, we've got 2 of them. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comments, additions, deletions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved.
Okay.
And what's next? Are we ready to move on to case?
Yeah, so
Very
this
good.
first case is for 317 West State Street. You can go ahead and come to the table. This is for construction of a mixed-use structure downtown. The site is located on the vacant block bounded by West Broad Street, South Bell Street, West Capitol Street, and Starling Street. And the applicant is seeking commission approval for updates to the commission-approved 14-story mixed-use building that includes a ground-level grocery store, structured parking, residential units, and amenity spaces. And I also want to note that Mr. Pongonis has recused himself from this case. The project was last before the commission at the May 2025 meeting, where the commission approved the project. Since that time, the grocery store and structured parking floor plans on levels 1 through 3 have been updated, taking the project from 463 spaces to 438 parking spaces. All other design and programming elements remain unchanged from the existing approval, and submitted materials include a context plan, floor plans, elevations, and renderings. The downtown design guidelines recommend commercial ground floor uses and the tallest buildings along the Broad Street corridor. And they also call for high-quality durable materials and transparent clear storefronts. The guidelines note that structured parking is preferred, but that the exterior design should minimize the monotony of its underlying structure system through wall mass and window openings and variation in color, material, and or texture. And staff notes that the applicant plans to return with exterior lighting and landscaping plans at a future date, and the proposal is consistent. And just to quickly look, the drawings, like I said, remain largely unchanged. It's just looking at those floor plans from levels 1 through 3. So this is level 1. You can see the grocery, it got a little bit smaller, and then the parking was expanded over. And that's to accommodate also for changes on 2 and 3. But I'll let the applicant go through the package with you all. Thank you.
Very good. Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you introduce yourself for the record, please?
Yes, Daniel Haynes with the Columbus Architectural
And
Studio.
could you, thank you, raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and if so, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
If so, say I do. Thank you. Okay, somewhere in there.
Thoroughly.
Yeah, right. Good. Okay, so you're coming up with fewer parking spaces, right?
Yeah, we basically, we had a couple of challenges, most of those doing with cost. So we've actually eliminated a full level. We reworked the internal ramps. We think we've made it a little bit simpler, but we've lost a few parking spaces.
Okay, what does it do to us on the outside of the building, I guess?
Basically, there's one level of parking that's now gone from the elevation. Beyond that, there should be very little difference in appearance. The aesthetic should remain the same. So there was a middle level of that parking deck that's now disappeared.
On the left there? Yeah,
Well, yeah, it would go all the way through.
okay.
And then we think that we've actually improved the entrance sequence so that the ramp used to be towards the corner of Capitol and Starling. we've moved that mid-block, and I think the city's traffic. was happy
I
with that
remember
as well,
when
too.
we looked at that.
Yeah.
earlier.
So we've improved that as well.
Any questions here for the applicant? Any comments?
I have one. So the original plan, because the grocery store had more frontage on Broad Street, there was more transparency, and now there's more screening and more garage over there. So I'm just wondering if you have any ideas of strategies how to maybe enliven that screening, whether creating maybe an interesting pattern or making that something that's engaging for that streetscape on Broad Street.
When we came to this originally, one of our pieces was we had talked about art on the project. That's not sort of part of this, but I think that that's a thing that we'd be looking forward to once we move into construction and sort of figure out that last bucket of piece. So we do think that there's going to be some sort of art on the project, but it's not part of this initial piece.
But just, yeah,
Okay.
okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Any other questions? Anything from the audience? What's the pleasure of the group here with this?
I move approval.
There's a motion to approve. Second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rudy, good morning. We just finished number one. You didn't miss it much, so.
All right, I wanted to note that Ms. Bartley is here, joining our quorum, and Mr. Pongonis has returned to the table. This next case is for 410 South High Street, and this is located at the block bounded by East Mound Street to the north, South High Street to the west, East Fulton Street to the south, and the Franklin County Parking Garage to the east. This site currently holds the former Durain Commons Park, which opened in 1976, and a municipal building built in 1955. The applicant is seeking commission approval to demolish both the former park site and the James A. Carnes Municipal Building and construct a new 8-story City of Columbus Municipal Court building. Included in the design is a pedestrian bridge over South High Street to connect the court building directly to city attorney offices within the 375 South High Street building. The applicant will salvage historical items on the site and will replace the mature trees on the site. Proposed materials include aluminum curtain walls, metal panels, and precast concrete panels. The applicant was last before the commission for a conceptual review in December 2025, where the demolition portion of the project was approved. Submitted materials include existing context photos, demolition plan, historical inventory, tree replacement plan, site strategy drawings, site plans, floor plans, building sections, elevations, material details, sections, renderings, landscape information, cut sheets, and other technical information. And I'll have the applicant go over the packet with you guys, but I think the key here will be looking at that pedestrian bridge. That was the main focus of comments, and looking at the design changes within that. And I'll have the applicant go over that.
Okay, just review very quickly.
Yeah.
What are we actually, is this what are we actually asking to?
Yeah, so the
request
demolition
today.
portion is already approved.
Yes.
So now we're approving the new construction and site work of the new building.
Okay,
So that's what they're seeking
Including the,
approval for today.
very good. Good morning.
I'm going to go forward with my staff analysis.
Please do.
For the record. The downtown design guidelines state that the downtown district code requires a certificate of appropriateness for demolitions and that a replacement use or a plan be approved by the downtown commission. The guidelines encourage the commissioners to consider if demolition would allow for new development, which in their opinion is of greater significance to the character of the surrounding area. And then for new construction, the guidelines recommend commercial ground floor uses, high-quality durable materials, lighting that minimizes light spill, transparent clear storefronts, and complementary landscaping. They also note that in cases where a skywalk is supported, its design and color should be such that if it is muted, sides at least 50% transparent, and its overall presence subdued. The application is generally consistent with the downtown design guidelines, and staff notes that the Department of Public Service maintains authority over access to the right-of-way, and that's just for that skywalk as it will cross over the right-of-way. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Could you identify yourselves for the record, please?
Yeah,
Yeah, feel free to pull that up.
is that better?
Repeat it there.
Great. Mark Parrish, architect with AECom.
Chris Laster, landscape architect with Edge.
Very good. Would you raise your right hands? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say, I do.
I do.
Thank you very much. Okay, we've gone through this and spent some time on it. How does this in any way differ from what we've seen so far, please?
Great question.
We'll start off with that.
Yeah, so we will try to be respectful of everyone's time here and not rehash what we've talked about a few times. I'm happy to go through the entire deck, but the primary changes and the homework we were asked to do when we were here before the holidays was primarily around the bridge. I think there was some general discomfort about the visual weight of the bridge. And so we looked at ways to simplify that and make that a bit more transparent and a bit more continuity with the Quartz Tower itself. And then the second piece was just gaining a little bit better understanding of some of the materiality and detailing around the public plaza and the area we've called Judicial Square at the north end of the site. And so we've embedded some of that information here and happy to, kind of
Great. Why
get
don't we
into that as
walk
much
through
as
those
possible.
items then? Thank you.
Perfect. So I will I'll let staff flip through this, and I think if we actually pause right there, maybe go back 3 slides. What we'll do is focus on the landscape first. So north end is on the left of this image here, north end of the site. Lower left corner is Judicial Square. That's the intersection that connects to the 2 adjacent Quartz facilities across High Street. So some of the questions we were asked when we were here last was really a better understanding of what the softscape and what the hardscape was at that corner. And with that, I'm going to let Chris Laster here with Edge walk us through that a little bit.
Sure. A couple other things I'd like to note too on that is that we have worked closely with CODA as well as the Department of Traffic Management and the Department of Transportation to locate and adequately number the amount of bus stops and covered bike parking on this. So previously we're showing 2, there's now 1. And then we're preserving the relocated covered bike parking in that location shown and kind of embedded into the granite curbed planter islands. The hardscape around the public lobby is matching the other pavers that are across the street at the Common Police Court as well as the Government Center. So it's the same kind of corner treatment, and then we're showing a field of pavers. That's the only departure. We couldn't reconcile the stripes. It didn't seem to relate, so we just went with the clear field and used the same paver pattern in that location. And then in lieu of having a precast veneer on the site walls, we have moved to a cast in place concrete with a rubbed finish to be more aligned with the Government Center across the street.
And show us where that is, if you would.
I think if you go to the next couple images might actually help. That would be the north end of the site on the left edge of that planter adjacent to the building, the north end of the building.
Maybe one more.
And then there's a couple vignettes in the next couple images that might
Clear it
help
up.
show that in clarity.
Yeah, there you go.
Perfect.
So in this area, though the shadows are kind of misleading, this is in full shade. And we're treating that whole wall right there. There's an existing vault right next to it, electrical vault. So we know that we have to be very sensitive. We're not replacing or removing that. We're going to keep the cast in place wall away from that, set back maybe 2 feet. But yes, rubbed finish, and then the planting in there will respond to a full shade conditions that are there.
You maybe go back 1 image from there. The
Yep.
the northeast half of that right of way is an egress condition from the lower level of the building. And so there's what amounts to a well there. And so what we've done is extended that cast wall to get pedestrian consistency at the right of way there. And then where we can, picking up that planter bed that Chris just referenced on the the west half of the site. And then we do have a secure gate to, keep that secure for the facility going down to that lower level.
I have asked this before, but the to make the main entrance accessible, if I cross the street, I have to go all the way down to the bus stop to find a ramp. Is that correct?
So good question. If you maybe go back to maybe one more image. That's perfect. Yeah. Yeah, good question. So the ramp starts about 60 feet south of the intersection there. And part of that is just the reality of the grades of the site. So the site actually falls away to the east. And so you really don't make up any vertical elevation there by placing the ramp to the east or the north end of the site. So what we did was place the ramp in the condition where it could essentially get you to that upper level as quickly as possible. And then what I will note is over really since we saw this in concept and then even through the last review, working with DOT, working with the utilities out there, the grade differential between the sidewalk and that level has shrunk, I would say relatively dramatically, almost a foot. And so that ramp length has shrunk along with it. And so that leading edge of the ramp has slowly migrated north to really help close that distance.
When you're walking on that street and if you're looking for the ramp, is there anything like in terms of maybe a landscape clue or an architectural clue that would help somebody understand this is how I would enter the ramp, this is where the ramp occurs on that street?
Yeah, it's a good question. The four bays where you see the colonnade there, where it says both bike ramps and then ramp under canopy, where those piers, I'll call it a colonnade, but where those building piers that support the canopy come down, where the ramp is the first place and only place on the project where it actually opens up. So all of that essentially lands on a consistent base as you move south along that high street elevation. And then at that point where the ramp starts, we've opened it up effectively 3 bays early to give some sort of visual and spatial cue that's an opportunity to start to move into the glazed entry volume beyond.
Okay, thank
Well,
you.
you put some signage up near the corner, the
I think we
wheelchair ramp
probably-
and an arrow. I think that would do it.
Okay, other comments on the,
And then we do have physical samples of the pavers, if anybody's curious, which are the
Yeah.
ones that are
Are you using pavers that are similar to the ones across the street?
identical in color, identical in the actual paver pattern where the color is laid. And I think what Chris noted, the one difference we are recommending is if you look at the image here, there's kind of a charcoal colored pizza pie shape at the actual radius curb cut. That's effectively a dark charcoal paver that we're proposing to be consistent with the two intersections that have this same treatment on the west side of the high street. The second element in the existing plazas on those facilities is essentially bands. It's kind of a dark and a light series of striped bands that really integrate deeply into the architecture of those two buildings. That's kind of how it was generated. We worked very hard to try to make that make sense, to bring that continuity across the street, and it really just didn't make sense with the architecture of this facility. And so what we proposed is bringing the field condition, kind of the soft gray paver, and just replicating that at the entire intersection. So at least there's
I think the
material
materials are the
continuity,
same.
but
The
it's not the
buildings are
exact
not,
same.
so it makes sense. The
Exactly.
pattern is different.
but that's a big deal that they are, the
Yep.
materials match.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else then in terms of how this has changed from what we've seen so far here then? And at some point, I want to look at,
Malkus, before you, sorry to interrupt, Steve, could you just talk a little bit about the concrete wall? I recognize that there are a handful of concrete walls. What is it, northwest, on the northwest corner here. But this is a lot of concrete wall without a lot of articulation, and it looks like it's getting a little tall. And I kind of feel like that's a condition we're trying to get away from in the old buildings. I can imagine all the reasons why it's concrete. I can imagine all the reasons why it's the height it is. Is there anything we can do to mitigate the appearance or height of that stuff? Or you Yeah. guys have thought about it and this is what it is?
Yeah, I mean, we have the ability to bring it down if we'd like. At least this wall. The one in the back, probably not, because we will need at least a 42-inch high secured gate, if not higher, depending.
When you say the one in the back, what
Yeah.
do you mean?
Yeah, sorry.
You need a guardrail condition back there because you have a.
Because the
Yeah,
ramp
sure.
slopes down, eventually it becomes
Yeah.
a fall condition and
Okay.
so it has to maintain a specific height.
Yeah, thinking too about this wall, we've tried to maintain a height that's not easily accessible, at least like trying to get up there, because the public could get up into that vegetative garden, walk, and then fall into the well. So we want to keep a certain height so that that condition is.
Excuse me, where is this wall? What stretch of roadway?
Can I stand up?
Yeah.
If you go back to that vignette, I can show you. Go maybe 3
3 down.
down. Okay, yeah, that would be a good one. Go one more.
This one.
So this is that wall that we're talking about right here. This is the second wall. And then this, if we were to lower the
Are we
height,
on Mound Street there?
this is Mound.
We are, yeah.
Yep,
So-
right there.
Okay, so show me on the picture where that wall is on there.
One more up. Or down, sorry. There we go.
Oh,
Yep, so
Okay,
one of the walls is here.
the
other-
northeast corner of the building.
so
Yeah.
the entrance is
It's
here.
basically
Yeah,
the
it's here.
east half of the Mound Street right of way.
Okay.
So about half the block.
But if we were to lower it, we would want to
Looks like-
implement some sort of guardrail right here so that the public doesn't jump there.
Yeah, I totally get the guardrail condition and the fall height condition and the security of the building. I just want to be, thoughtful about more expanse of plain concrete wall in this district, especially when the building is so nice.
Yeah, one of the other challenges too is this is our primary, essentially crash barrier for the security of the facility as well. So there are considerations that go into the height of that,
Yeah.
which is, as you know, always a challenge. And then there is this balance too, in terms of that height too, where across the street, the scale of that, those walls are purposely, I think, in many instances designed to be benches and occupied by the public. And part of that is there's quite a bit more distance to the building face. So again, a security conversation. And one of the challenges here is, trying to create a kind of, human scaled and tiered and layered section to that right of way, while also not necessarily promoting a ton of loitering because it is, right at the building edge and there are security concerns that go with
So
it.
you don't want people to sit on it, is where you're.
It's one of those balancing acts, you know what I mean? It's honestly an urban design challenge.
And
Yeah.
is the idea then that the finish on these walls would match the finish on the walls across the street?
So last time we were here, we had this.
Which Jeff
precast-
is saying he's
Yeah.
not sure he likes, and
Well,
I'm
that-
thinking maybe I like it, but.
Yeah, so last time we were here, it was
on the concrete
precast.
walls on the other block, it's nice.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to concrete. I'm worried about chest high,
Yeah.
head high concrete for a full block.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, well, wait a minute, that doesn't
Not-
look like, it looks like it's
Yeah,
just
what's-
slightly
what's our
over
sample
waist high,
height?
right?
No, it does get to about chest high as you get closer to Pearl and Mound. But when you're closer to the actual entry, I would say that it's maybe waist high, maybe
Yeah,
lower.
it's about 30 inches.
Because I would agree, this doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Somewhere in here to me feels okay.
Yeah, the stuff, the walls across the street are knee walls.
Yep.
Mhm.
Whether they're meant to be sit on or not, I get the point. But that's fine. I'll drop it. I want to mention my concern here. It's
Yeah.
a lot of concrete wall at the landscape interface, like great building materials up at the 10th floor. That's great.
Mhm.
But no one sees that this is right at the interface with
Yeah.
everyday life.
Does it want to step down somewhere along there and go to a railing somehow?
We could do that. I think the concern there would be the more visibly porous that east half is, the more invitation it's potentially giving people to actually try to get down into that well. So again, it's kind of a balance between, we want to kind of consider the pedestrian and define an edge there while also not drawing a ton of attention
Okay.
to that
I
well.
think with the grade change there and the fact that you're probably walking down to go to the parking garage or something,
Yep.
it doesn't bother, as long as it's not too high up near the entrance.
That's
which
where
not-
I
which
am
is
on it.
not.
That's where I am on it.
I
too.
think it's okay.
We maintain a datum, so it's the same height the whole time. So it is, as you go up, it's disappearing.
Yeah,
It never goes away, but
Yeah.
it goes away at the entry, but.
And I think the last point on the material, when we were here last, we did have it precast to match the base of the building itself, more of an extension of the plinth that the building sits on. And we did adjust that in large part to be more, provide more continuity with the adjacent parcels across the street and try to promote more of that kind of visual consistency with essentially the three courts projects at Judicial Square.
Okay, are we ready to move on to talk about the elevations then, and particularly the crosswalk
Bridge.
or the bridge? Everybody set on that?
Yeah.
I don't want to push anybody along. We can always come back as well. Why don't we talk about this
Perfect.
then a little bit?
So the bridge, if you remember last, we were here and we had a glass bridge with a heavy metal fin articulation. And so I think there was some appreciation for the color and the texture that was providing, but there was some real concern about the visual weight of that. And just the reality that we weren't able to see through that, and it maybe didn't feel as contiguous with the building itself as it could be. So we went back and looked at this and, looked at all the performance metrics we needed out of this. And what we're proposing here is a much simplified glass only bridge here connecting the two properties. What we are proposing to do is, very simple. We call it's essentially a box behind the glass so that where there's spandrel, it looks like the vision glass itself. So highly transparent glass. We are proposing to do a frit on the south face, which is going to help us keep the thermal load down on that. So it will have a very soft, obscured texture to it on the south face, which you see here. And then the north side itself can be standard full vision glass with maximum transparency into and through the bridge itself. Proposing to keep the same painted metal soffits as the primary building there. But again, just a very simple, very clean, very light bridge to try to reconcile some of the the concerns that were presented here a month ago.
Yep.
We tried to show this also in a couple different lighting scenarios here just to really understand. I mean, this is a good one. Like you will get kind of a soft milkiness because of the frit on that south face in very, very high sunlight environments. And then when it's in shade, which is frankly most of the day because of the towers around it, that transparency picks up significantly. And then similarly, maybe if you go forward probably 2 slides, there's a couple close-ups just to help you understand. Similarly, because of the soft, kind of the difference between the exterior reflectance, there are times where you will see the surrounding environment cast on that glass, and other times where it'll be very, very transparent.
Okay, I like
That I'll punt to you guys and
I like
pepper it away.
Where's everybody on this? We've seen it from the, does anybody want to have them take a walkthrough for us on the elevation before we vote on it? Or what's the pleasure? Everybody's comfortable?
I had just a comment about the bridge. I really appreciate, that you've lightened it and simplified it. And I think in many ways it's more successful.
Yeah.
But I know you've spoken about this as an urban gateway and a very important, introduction to the city and just an iconic, I guess it'll be like an iconic bridge and a very important section
Yeah.
of the city. So I'm just wondering if there's, working with that design or something very similar to it, if there's anything that can give it a uniqueness, like, it doesn't have to hit you over the head, but something where when people look at this, they know it's simple, they know it's light, they know it's
Yep.
elegant, and it's keeping with your concept. But just something about it where, when people look at it, it looks artistic and unique. And I don't know if that might be, I'm really not quite sure how to do that. It might be the pattern of the mullion design, or it might be how it's lit, or, I just feel like it's maybe right now walking in between,
Yeah.
hey, this is really simple and elegant, but it's generic. And when, when you showed the picture, the slide of what you saw underneath, and then those panels are articulated with the glass, that looked interesting.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, maybe study it some more so that you feel that this is not going to look like, oh, this is just in a generic bridge you
Right.
could see anywhere. But I understand you want to keep it simple and elegant and light. So that would be my comment.
Okay, are there other comments as well?
We kind of discourage these overhead walkways. So I'm acknowledging that this was necessary and we want them, but it seems to me that this design kind of goes away, and I mean that in a good way. It's not drawing attention to itself. It's, I think maybe if anything, creating a room that's surrounded by these new buildings and the old buildings. And I think keeping it simple and elegant is the right direction.
That's where I am on that too. I think you don't necessarily want it to be a design element. But I do think it should be very well done and very elegant. And I think you've gotten that here. I like this much better than what was there
I do
before.
too.
Is this on a diagonal, by the way, or is it perpendicular? to
It
the
is
street?
perpendicular to the street.
Okay.
The tower itself, if you remember,
Okay, so that's where
is
we're getting-
rotated 10 degrees. So you do get a juxtaposition there, but the podium, those first two floors off of High Street hold the street edge there. And so the podium and the bridge itself are fully rectilinear.
Okay.
90 degrees.
So we have a proposal here to approve what we have seen, the design. We've talked through some of the site issues and particularly the entry and the streetscapes and that kind of thing. And we've talked through the bridge. So I'm gonna try to move us toward getting a motion to approve this. And I'm happy to, before we do that, see if there are any other questions or comments. Anybody? And if there's anything from the audience, I see a few architects out there, so this is your chance here to. What's everybody's thought on this?
Have we already approved the demolition?
Yes.
Yes, we did it.
How did you guys arrive at your street tree selection?
We worked with the urban forester and they selected the 3 street trees.
Are those consistent with what's around the corners there then? West and north?
Not necessarily, but we were trying to initially match that. And then we went in for our our public tree plan, and the only comments they had were the tree selections
What were those? What selections are those that you have there?
that are up there. Along Mound, we have the State Street maples. On High, we have Musashino, Zelkovas, and then Fulton is done by the ODOT project. So those are the frontier elms.
Okay.
On the plant palette, the material section,
Those
Mhm.
Zelkovas turn into monsters.
Is that right?
Yeah,
there's,
Cousin Street.
you have the London plane trees, where are those?
Trees, but I
Yeah.
don't know.
Those were the ones that were removed.
I think plane trees were on the
Previous.
south frontage and were superseded by the ODOT selection. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So replaced by the elms.
That's not a picture of a plane tree. Picture of honey locust.
Yeah, that one just stayed in there then. That needs to come out. Yeah, it is the State Street tree, the Musashino, Zelkova, as well as the frontier elm.
Is that a standard variety of the Zelkova? Because those can get kind of very broad.
This one is a lot smaller. The
Okay,
spread
so
is
it's a
50.
slightly different variety, and is it more upright then?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be good. Okay. Okay,
Especially for like the buses and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
And then
exactly.
the ironwood is within
If-
our property, not the right of way, and that's
Yeah.
in the bed. Yeah.
That doesn't seem the right size there, yeah. Oh, okay, other questions, comments?
The green roof that you have, how are you using that? Is that accessible to the tenants? Is that just there for sustainability?
Yeah, good question. So I would say we are still trying to make it accessible.
Mhm.
Part of that's a budget challenge, part of that's a security challenge. The roof itself is, I mean, you could say it's sustainability. Really, we are implementing on the project. It is our primary source for treating the water coming off the building and being
Hmm.
discharged.
Hmm.
So because we have effectively no footprint on our site outside of the building footprint itself, that's the means for us to treat the rainwater before we discharge it.
Yeah,
Did I get that right?
yeah, it's an Ohio EPA requirement for water quality on the project. We have to.
But it won't be on the top of the building then, right? Just from
It,
the.
it won't be on the
right?
top. So it's about 17,000 square feet all on that lower podium level. So all of the buildings around it will be able to broadly see it, but for the highest tower across the
Okay.
street.
Interesting.
And we've essentially, it's everything north of the bridge itself right now. And so trying to work to squeeze a little terrace in there and make that occupiable. But as of right now, it is not. And then also working with some vendors around town here to try to get as much scale within that planting as possible.
Okay, so that is not part of their request here today for this package. Okay, where are we here?
Signage, are you using?
We'll come back. Yeah, we'll
You'll
come
come
back
back
for
for that?
signage.
Lighting, do we have lighting in? I
Yeah,
forget if
we'll
we.
come back for that as well.
Okay, lighting, signage, we come back.
Okay.
Yes,
I
go
just
ahead.
had one other comment. I had a question about the bridge. So inside where you have the structural truss elements,
Yep.
what colors are those? Is that, it looks from the rendering that it's rather dark, but I could be reading.
It's a very light neutral gray, which will match the framing of the windows themselves. which
Okay.
I can show you.
Mhm. Yeah, that would be great. So really, it looks like how this is going to look, it's really going to be lighter than it looks like on some of the renderings. Okay.
Good.
I think that with the interior elements being lighter, where I was reading it darker, I do think if it has a lightness to it, I think I am more comfortable with it the way it is. So that's good. I'm glad to see like inside it is going to be all light and neutral.
Yeah, we looked at lighter color. We looked at color at one point. It was distracting, frankly, and we looked at trying to paint it white and with the color of the glass framing itself, and then the soft coloration of the tint of the glass, it just came forward quite a bit and was really making it a bit more visually chaotic. And so we tried to make it as neutral as possible as it's read through the glass.
And then the glass itself is pretty clear.
Yeah.
Well, printed on the
Right,
south
right, fitted, right,
slightly
of
and
course,
then
but
pretty much clear on.
pretty much right.
All this
But
stuff
it's not
that you
really
show us.
into the color. It's clear.
Do you want to see the samples here, folks?
Yeah, so this is.
Why don't you bring us through this?
This is considered, this is considered basically as clear glass as.
Right, of
as
course,
As the coatings needed.
right. And then this is behind.
Yeah, this is both the very little framing on the exterior,
Mhm.
and then that's also what you're behind.
And this, the metal panel, the metal
Yep.
sample, is that the color underneath as well?
So that is the framing of the glass. The color underneath is just a subtle difference. Just a little bit warmer. So essentially a kind of a soft tonal
Okay.
shift.
Well, now that I see the colors, it makes more sense to me. It's lighter than I was, I knew that the glazing
Yeah.
was going to be light, but somehow I felt that those structural elements and the underside were rather dark. But I think keeping it really light will work well.
And they've got a little bit of a mica in there too, to just keep it from going dead flat in the shadow and, kind of lifeless. So, doing everything we can to give it as much kind of depth within that system as possible.
Okay,
Good.
well, thank you.
Other questions, comments? Is there anything from the audience? Is there a motion, please?
I move approval.
There's a motion to approve as submitted,
Second.
and there's a second. Okay, one more time. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great.
We very much appreciate your time.
Nice
Thank you.
building. Yeah, thank you for your tweaks along the way too here.
All right, so this next case is for 34 East Fulton Street, essentially next door to the previous site. 34 East Fulton Street is located just east of East Fulton Street and South High Streets and holds the Franklin County parking garage. The applicant is seeking commission approval for required facade adjustments due to the removal of the Carnes Building at 410 South High Street. The removal left a portion of the facade bare, and the applicant is proposing to reclad the area with metal panels. Submitted materials include a site context map, site plan, anometric view, elevations, renderings, construction details, cut sheets, and an owner's letter. The downtown design guidelines recommend high-quality durable materials, and the application is generally consistent with those guidelines. And I'll let the applicant move through their package. Thank you.
Very good. Good morning. Morning. Could you introduce yourselves for the record, please?
Yes, Lou Pellet, Moody Nolan, project architect.
Tony Kosick, Moody Nolan, project architect.
Could you raise your right hands? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say, I do.
I do.
Thank you very much. Okay, walk us through.
Great. We'll set it up that the group has already approved the demolition of the Carnes Building. Part of that demolition included a large connector to the existing Franklin County parking garage. And that element was actually quite large. It is a 4-story connector. Now happily, the connector had minimal connections actually into the parking garage. And this was an elevated connector, and it was basically a square attached to the middle of the parking garage. Those connections were only through the balconies into the parking garage. So we've got a big void at the side of the parking garage. If you're in the parking garage, what you see now is a CMU wall. So there are no actual penetrations at those locations. Once we remove that connector, we will have a big box of exposed concrete on this large brutalist parking garage. What we're proposing now is to infill that void with materials complementary to our new building and also accent what's on the existing garage. I think that the colors and the materials will be complementary to what's occurring on the garage. Additionally, our new building will pretty much block the view of this existing parking garage. So we feel like what we've done is complementary. And I'm not trying to downplay what's going on in the parking garage, but this will be pretty much in shadow of our new building. We brought Tony to help describe what we've done with this infill. So I'll let Tony describe that infill.
Okay, so just so we understand, what you've got here on the right, that's the subject of this application. The rest of the building, you're not touching, is that
Correct.
correct? Thank you.
Correct.
Just for clarification.
Certainly.
Yeah, and as Lou's saying, you could see with the paneling here, that's where the existing connector was basically infilling. The two elements were structurally similar. They have their own separate structures, so taking apart doesn't affect the garage at all. And the sort of glass box, if you will, is where the original connector was, how you got to and from the garage to the original Carnes building, which we're replacing in kind with curtain wall, basically leaving those elements there all the way up and as they die into the panels. Panels are tapered series metal panel, as Lou was saying, complementary to the rest of the garage, trying to add pop so it's not just bare concrete, but also adding some shadow and depth. The slight times you might see it when you're coming in and exiting from the parking garage.
Okay, and those are metal panels?
Mhm.
Yes. Questions?
What's it look like from the inside?
From the inside of that box?
Yeah.
It's essentially just, that's the elevator lobby. So there's a lot of different, to make the levels work, they had there's some steps up, some steps down, some are just overlooked. So at each floor it's different, but they're basically just looking out.
Well, so what is it? Is it a metal wall on the inside then too? Metal panels?
On the, I'm sorry, on the other side of the
Inside the
panel,
garage.
it's just concrete wall on the garage on the other side of
So
that.
it's the existing concrete wall?
Yeah.
Correct.
So that really doesn't change?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're just covering it up, so it's not bare concrete.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Bare concrete on the outside, you mean?
Yes, on the inside, it's remaining the same. On the outside, so it's not exposed, we're
I
covering it
have
up.
a question about the color of the panels. So in your packet, it looked like it was a color palette of grays. And I'm not sure, maybe it's called gray, but it really does have more of that warm tone, and so I'm just wondering because the previous building, it looked like when we looked at the sample panels, they look like this. They have some warmth to it. And so I'm wondering if you're matching that or because I'm not quite sure what the gray looks like.
You didn't bring a sample with you, did you?
No, we were planning on matching what we had just shown on the other building.
Mhm.
So it would be the same color panel. Now, on the existing garage, we have bronze glazed windows.
Mhm.
So we're trying to play both sides of the existing garage and our new building. So we're trying to hit a medium range between the two. So introducing our panels on the building, but also respecting the dark bronze and brown glazing on the existing garage.
Okay.
So this is light, but it's bronze, a bronze tone rather than gray.
Correct. Correct.
So the
That
sample,
makes sense to
the
me.
sample colors you're using are the gray ones in the packet or they're different?
They're primarily the gray.
The gray.
And again, as Tony mentioned, we're trying to introduce some shading and shadowing. That's why we've varied the panel dimensions
Mhm.
just to create some, we're trying to mask as much as possible that it's not a direct match. So another interesting component of this project is that our building is a city building and this is a county building. And it will remain a county building. So again, we're playing a balancing act of ownership on this project as well.
Okay.
And
Other questions?
It's easier when they don't touch.
Exactly.
Any other questions then? Anything from the audience? What's the pleasure of the group? Move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Again, any questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so this next case is for 181 East Broad Street, which is located at the southeast corner of East Broad Street and South Fourth Street. The site contains a structure built in 1856, along with a surface parking lot, and is home to the Columbus Club. The applicant is seeking commission approval to add new parking lot hardscape, new segments of brick masonry wall with intermittent new fence sections along the east. Oh, yep.
We're recusing ourselves.
Okay. Yeah, let me just
Thank you.
Okay.
let the sounds die down. Okay. All right. I just wanted to note that Mr. Loversige and Mr. Whitman are recusing themselves from the case. And then Jana, you're good with taking over to chair? Okay. All right. So this site contains a structure built in 1856 along with a surface parking lot and is home to the Columbus Club. The applicant is seeking commission approval to add new parking lot hardscape, new segments of a brick masonry wall with intermittent new fence sections along the east frontage, new gates in existing fence locations along the west and north frontages, new automatic vehicle gates at the southern parking lot entrances, modifications to the sidewalk paving along the northern Broad Street frontage, and new landscape plantings. Submitted materials include a site plan, landscape plan, enlarged site plan, elevations, elevation plan details, renderings, and material cut sheets. And I'll let the applicant mostly go through their application, but again, it's mostly just along the borders of the site and then interior hardscape there. The downtown design guidelines recommend that landscaping and parking improvements be compatible with each other and to the subject building, and that historic landscaping elements be preserved and integrated where possible. Further, they state that landscaping materials should be of high quality and durability, and that landscape lighting should be integrated into the overall plan, and this proposal is consistent with those guidelines. Thank you.
Okay, well, good morning. First, we'll swear you in. So raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you are about to give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So say you do.
I do. I do.
Great. And if you could give your name and association to Belkis for the record.
Chris Myers, Myers and Associates Architects.
Nick Munoz, Myers and Associates Architects.
Then you can walk us through the project.
So thank you for having us. The project really started as an evolution of some construction that had been happening to the east of the property. There was some damage and deterioration along the east edge of the property at the existing parking. some existing hedge row and plantings. There is currently a fence. And through that damage, it prompted the club to want to elevate the perimeter enclosure of the property to match some of the existing brick wall and fence enclosures that are around other portions of the site. So the project includes a replacement of a fence on the east, which is the bottom of the drawing. And then the introduction of gate enclosures at some of the pedestrian gates on Broad, and then also on 4th, and then vehicle gates along the alley, which is to the left. That's those two. In addition to that, there's some enhancements to landscaping, again, sort of tying into the existing landscape plan. There's a few hornbeam trees which are being added and a couple of small paver details that really just continue some of the existing conditions that are on the property. So it's very much a continue the rest of the story of the details and material that are currently existing at the club.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, I have
Pretty
a
straightforward.
Yeah, I have a question. So I really like, what you're doing with the hardscape for the parking lot. I really think that's attractive. But I'm wondering, because of the color you're using, it looks so much like a parking line. If you have any concern that if somebody were to park there, they might be confused and think it might be angled parking, as opposed, like what is the parking line and what is the actual design?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think the rendering's probably a little deceiving. I think the diagonal pattern and the field color are probably intended to be a little more closely matched. It's a variation in just creating some of the break lines for control joints and pattern. But we can certainly make sure the clarity of the parking line versus the
Right, just so
decorative
that it's
lines.
really clear that that's a decorative element and not, like, oh, a parking lot.
Right, right.
You mentioned the brick, you mentioned that you're matching existing brick fencing that's around part of the building.
Correct.
So can you explain where that is? So you're matching the color and the design, or just the color of the brick?
It's a direct match to the current brick.
Mhm.
The wall that is at the south end of the site, you can see it here in the bottom of the rendering, that's existing and on site currently. And so we've matched that brick, which complements the brick of the historic building as well. And so the continuation of the new brick wall replicates the existing brick walls, which are on site.
Okay.
And they're also on the west side of the building in sort of that same position, the southwest corner of the property. In fact, even going up on the west elevation or the west property line as well.
Well, it looks very thoughtfully designed.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like how you broke up the wall with the fencing, where the trees drop in, where the hornbeams come in, and the wall's 6 foot tall.
It's like 5'6", I think, with a cap detail. Again, it just matches the right there. Yeah, 5'6" with the stone cap. That aligns with the existing walls on site. The metal work is actually, obviously it's new because of the new improvements, but it replicates the historic wrought iron railing. There's a craftsman that the club uses out of Lexington, Kentucky. He's the one who's coming up to do this work. So very authentic historic details in the metal work and even the hardware and the hinges and everything. So
It's great. Those are
it'll
amazing
be a really
details
beautiful
today.
detail. Yeah.
Great.
Okay, well, anybody have anything else? Okay, so we'll have does anybody would like to give a motion for approval?
Could I clarify one thing?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I think we might have originally submitted as a conceptual review, and I think it's now being considered as the final review is what the document says, which
Yes.
we're happy to have it considered as the
Mhm.
final review.
Yeah.
We didn't want to leapfrog the process.
Mhm.
But if it's considered as
Yeah.
the final, we.
Yeah, no, given the additional drawings that I requested that you all were able to provide, this went from conceptual to a complete application. So we're voting for approval today if
We're
the
voting for
commission
approval.
is in favor of
And I
that.
forgot to ask, is there anyone in the audience that has a question or comment on this project? Right, so we have a motion.
Second.
It's been a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
I guess we should tell.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's great. We're just going to wait for other commissioners to return and then.
Wait for
Yeah.
2 members to return.
Yep. And this is for 344 West Town Street. So if those applicants are here, they can go ahead and come up to the table and take a seat. Thank you.
Read them up.
Yeah.
You'll be very happy. Nice details.
Yes.
Nice improvements.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yes.
good, good.
Very thoughtful.
Okay. All right.
All
Thank
right,
us.
so this next application is for 344 West Town Street, which is a vacant lot located at the northwest corner of West Town Street and Bell Street. The applicant is seeking commission approval to construct 8 new pickleball courts with fencing and surrounding synthetic turf. The remainder of the site will be seeded with grass lawn. Submitted materials include a utility plan, site plan, and material cut sheets. And here you can see the site. So we have the pickleball courts. In green is the synthetic turf, and then in light gray will be that surrounding seeded grass. The downtown design guidelines recommend that plazas, courtyards, and similar public spaces are encouraged in the downtown and should be illuminated at night. The integration of landscaping and public art is also encouraged. The application is generally consistent with the downtown design guidelines. Staff encourages the inclusion of site lighting if the space will be utilized at night and to consider the addition of landscaping or public art. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Would you introduce yourselves for the record, please? Could you?
Yes. I'm Robert Ferguson with EMH&T.
And I'm Nick Stefanik with Downtown Columbus, Inc.
Very good. Could you raise your right hands? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So say I do.
I do.
Thank you very much. Go ahead. Thank you.
Sure. The project entails the installation of 8 pickleball courts and surrounding ancillary improvements surrounding those. There's also sidewalk that leads over to Bell Street as well as Chapel Street. Bell Street's to the east and Chapel Street to the north. The site, the courts will be surrounded by fencing, chain link fence, vinyl coated black, and there'll be gates so that it can be secured at night when it's not in use. Nick's going to talk a little bit about the operation and the hours of operation.
Sure, this is certainly intended to be a daytime amenity for the residents around the area. We heard through the downtown strategic planning process that more residential amenities like this would be a real asset to downtown Columbus, and we agree. This is currently a gravel parking lot that is slated for future development, so this is certainly intended to be a temporary installation. We're expecting around 3 years. With that being said, this is intended for daytime use. So there are some existing streetlights that will provide some security lighting, but as the application noted, there is no additional lighting noted for nighttime use. The area that is noted in green as synthetic turf will have some additional seating elements, some planters that will be maintained by our staff that is in the area. And it should also be noted that there's 24/7 patrolling security in this area that will be able to lock up the facility at night and open it up in the morning. Truly a dawn to dusk operation is the plan.
I see it's just asphalt then. Is that right? And painted lines or surface or?
That is correct. The court itself will be asphalt with painted
Yeah.
lines, correct.
you know, again, this is a temporary use, it sounds like.
That's
I think it's fantastic. I mean, talk about liveliness and interest. And you folks, that, you know, the big question would come to my mind is who takes care of it and how do you do it? But you're undertaking that, so. Any questions, any other comments, questions, from anybody?
I was just wondering why the choice of the synthetic turf and if you had thought
I
about.
wondered that a little bit
And,
too.
you know, if you had wondered about something that was more sustainable, especially because the coast side, the beautiful park area is across the street. And I'm wondering if you could, you know, maybe the landscaping could pull from that, you know, interesting, it doesn't have to be manicured, of course, but just something that's interesting, sustainable, variety, natural. And that I think keeps in spirit all of the construction and the character of that area.
Certainly, and synthetic turf largely came down to the fact that there's not irrigation in the area, and we would rather have synthetic turf than dead grass, than dead grass, than
Dead
dirt,
grass.
and dust and mud. So certainly with a lot of the additional elements that we'll be adding, some of the seating and furniture, we want to keep that consistent with the style of improvements that are over at Dorian Green. But synthetic turf was chosen just as the simplest choice that would be effective, useful, and beautiful.
Okay, and I'm wondering too, because the site goes, you know, goes a little bit more to the south, and the Bell Street is is a prominent street. I'm wondering if you had thought of carrying the courts down to the extent of the lot, or there was a reason that you kept it to that size for economics or.
Yes, so the programming was planned for 8 courts. The size of the courts just kind of dictated the space that it occupies. We positioned it so that it was positioned in the northeast direction, offset 20 foot from the northeast corner. That aligns with where the residential is currently today. There's obviously less residential along the town street side, so trying to align it with those residential towers to the north there.
And the trees that we see there along Bell, those are existing, the ones that are at the.
That is correct.
And,
Those
okay.
those are the existing street trees in the city street trees, which will be remaining not impacted by the project.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other questions then?
I just have a question. So Downtown Inc. will be doing all of the maintenance, or will we be working with Recreation and Parks on this?
Downtown Columbus Inc. will be performing the operations and maintenance. We worked with Columbus Recreation and Parks in coming up with this plan to make sure that we weren't stepping on any toes and make sure that we were following best practices.
Okay, thank you.
Wouldn't it be a better project if you had something in that crushed stone area that had some kind of canopy where people who weren't playing or some sort of staging, seating arrangements? I mean, it just seems like there's nothing there. It's just a bunch of gravel.
Certainly it is crushed stone down there. We planned on all of those, the shade elements, the seating elements to take place in the synthetic turf area. We wanted it to be positioned closer to the residential as opposed to further away from the residential. And as a temporary installation, we felt that a better, smaller section of amenity would be better than a larger, more spread out.
So are you showing any shaded area then?
Flip the courts then down toward town and then put the amenities on the north side. And flip it. Just seems so weird to have this big giant area of gravel right next to Town Street at Bell.
It's what's there now.
Yeah, the idea was just to place back what's there today. Today, it's a gravel lot.
I get that, but like, there's an opportunity here. You're missing,
Sure.
right? If you shift the courts south and you open up that north side to the pedestrian, canopies and chairs and things of that nature, I feel like it feels like a better experience.
I agree I think that's a really great idea because this is right where COSI is. You have a lot of people that are walking here now with all of the buildings. This street has become, very dynamic and very interesting street. So anything you can do to maybe continue that and use the lot and like you said, you want to have some site amenities, so maybe those are where and you said you wanted to keep them where the turf is, so maybe that becomes the north and then the courts are. I think anything, like
It's
Tony's
also
saying, to use the
temporary.
site well and to end it, end it so that, it's mirroring what's happening at COSI. It doesn't just abruptly stop.
I mean, it's better than what is currently there.
Yes,
And it is also temporary.
right.
So if you're only going to invest for 3 years and it's not permanent type of situation, I think with what they've done is very admirable for what the need is, particularly with the growth that is happening on the peninsula.
Yeah, it is.
I don't. I think that shifting this, I think creates an experience for 3 years. I don't think it costs any more money to shift it than it does right now. Create an amenity that you can be proud of, and it looks good, it feels right, and it's complimentary to the park, it's complimentary to the residents.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can slide that down, increase the space in the north end and accommodate that request.
Is there any additional grading you would need to do in order to shift it?
No, we would just have to modify the grading scheme slightly in order to accommodate that, but it wouldn't drastically alter the design as it sits today.
So we heard a couple comments about benches or shaded areas or something for spectators. Are you planning that at all? Because I don't see it in this drawing.
So it would be movable furniture, umbrellas, things of that nature. It's not going to be.
Well, how would that work? I mean, do you put them in and take them out or?
Yeah, it would be a seasonal, they would be installed seasonally.
I see.
So they wouldn't be out there in the winter, but they would be out there overnight during the summer.
What's the pleasure of the group here? Any comments from the audience, by the way? What's the pleasure of the group here on this?
Do you want to make a motion with some thoughts attached to it?
Sure. Motion to approve related to the shifting of the courts to the south, where it straddles Bell at Town in that offset of 20 foot that you had mentioned before. That was your guiding light, allowing that north side to open up to be more of a pedestrian experience for furnishings of that nature.
I had a comment. I'm wondering if.
Okay, just a
oh,
second.
I'm sorry.
So let's
Yeah.
finish. Is that your motion then? Okay, so the motion is to simply stay with 8 courts, move them to the south, and then the perimeter north, west, east, and also then south would be a 20-foot. Or what? Obviously, it's not going to be 20 feet on the north.
Yeah, it's 20 foot off of Bell and 20 foot off of Town. That's what you're.
Correct.
Okay, and then the north side would be a wider band of the turf,
Pedestrian amenities.
of the turf. Okay, and then the west side where we've got whatever it is, 20 feet or so, is just gravel. Is that correct? Okay, do you understand what?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay, there's a second. So that is a motion on the table. Now, you had another comment, please?
It was just what you were saying. I just wanted to understand what was happening with the
Okay.
turf and,
Yeah.
get some clarification for the motion, but that's fine.
Okay, good. Any other questions, comments? Does that work for you folks before we vote on this thing?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? I'm going to ask for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Thank you very much. That'd be fun to see how that works.
Thank you.
I think it's going to be a great experiment also.
Yes, we'll learn a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Forward to seeing you within 3 years.
All
Or
right.
something else.
Now, remember, you can hurt your ankles on there when you're, or knees or something. Okay.
All right, so this next application is for 350 North High Street. And I'm just allowing, I think Commissioner Pongonis is recusing himself from the case.
Okay.
And I'm also noting that Mr. Pongonis is recusing himself from this case as he will be a presenter on behalf of the applicant for the case. All right, so 350 North High Street is the location of the Hyatt Regency Hotel and Conference Center at the northeast corner of Nationwide Boulevard and North High Street. The applicant is seeking commission approval for a modification to the Hyatt Regency entryway. The proposal includes reshaping the existing circular turnaround to a rectangular shaped turnaround with new entry signage. And additionally, the applicant proposes a replacement of the existing hardscaping and pavements, an entry wall, and new landscaping. Submitted materials include existing condition photos, site plans, and material cut sheets. And in looking at that here, this is the existing condition with that circular turnaround. And And then if you look at the site plan, you can kind of see it becomes more rectangular in nature there. And I'll let the applicant go through this in detail. And then I wanted to also note, we received some additional rendering photos that were not included in the writing of the staff report, but I did want to give the applicant the courtesy of having those images pulled up here. So we can kind of see some of these renderings. Okay, so we'll have those pulled up. Downtown design guidelines recommend that landscaping materials be of high quality and durability, and the proposal is consistent with the downtown design guidelines. Thank you.
Very good. Do you happen to have a picture of the existing condition over there?
Yeah, I can pull up.
Why don't we take a peek at that? while
Yeah.
we're gonna
Pull that
Look
up
at
here.
this thing.
All right, so, so we are in it here. So this is that turnaround here. So they're really just, wanting to square this off, make it, more softer treatment. And I'll let the applicant speak to this, but the site work area is in this area and then connecting over onto High Street. But this is what we're working with currently.
Great. Very good. Jeff, could you identify yourself for the record, please?
Jeffrey Pongonis, MKSK.
Brian, jump up. And would you identify yourself for the record, please?
Brian Ellis, Nationwide Realty Investors.
Would you raise your right hands? Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you very much. Okay,
All right, we just.
pretty straightforward.
It's really, we're not going to spend a lot of time. I want to be mindful of your time today. This is very straightforward. The objective really is to modernize this. It's been, this was built in the early 80s, and frankly, it doesn't have enough capacity. What you'll see here, what bugs me, and probably bugs a lot of people, is that to get the job done in terms of managing the cars, they're up on the sidewalk. You could even see when you asked to see the existing condition, that existing condition demonstrated sort of what we got to fix here. And that's what we have. We're really adding more capacity, a better situation for our guests in staging cars and having the valet function operate better, and have it look better. I mean, I think we can do that. It's an important corner at Nationwide and High, and we're just trying to make an improvement here.
Yeah.
Jeff can probably
It's
walk you
very
through the.
tired now.
It is. It is for sure.
There's something to be said for just exactly that, freshening things up. I
Yeah.
mean, we do it on our buildings you have to do it.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I think you get something out of it, and it helps the environment, the community too as well. Do you want to walk us through?
Yeah,
Jeff,
as
quickly
Brian
what
said,
you're doing?
this is pretty simple improvements. We're really not adding that much more pavement, given the way the site lays out now. But we do add a little bit of pavement to square the auto court off. We've got a granite wall and some landscape along Nationwide that will help to screen it a little bit. We're increasing that landscape island in terms of size, and that will have a sign component in the future, which when we have a need for graphics, we'll come back.
Kind of a
to you.
monument sign low on the
Low
wall.
monument sign, nothing too tall, some landscape to go along with it. Concrete surface. There is a lot of grade change here, so concrete is definitely the best material here. It's a like for like change. And then just a small paver sidewalk along the building face, or along the curb face, excuse me, that you'll see there.
I guess I would just add, we have an ambition. Some of you will remember the old Peppercorn Duck Club space. We still have an ambition to put a restaurant there. And so provided that we can identify a good user for that space, then we'll need to have a more efficient, effective valet operation. And also the sign, while it's not shown there, would contemplate the addition of that restaurant name on the sign.
Well, we can handle that when that comes about.
We're not-
Any change in lighting or anything on there?
No, not really. There's a couple leftovers from a lighting perspective, but generally there's just some uplights on the trees in the landscape island. Otherwise,
And tell us what you are doing with, as it relates to planting?
plant material. There's
See 3 trees in there.
yeah, those are ginkgo, which will have a nice fall color, nice high canopy as they grow in, and upright form. And then we've got some ground cover, pechysandra, and some spirea in there. Otherwise, just some basic stuff like a taxus hedge along the granite wall.
Okay.
Basic stuff.
Great. Questions, comments?
2 quick questions. So the walls that you're creating, the low walls, that is clad in what material?
Granite.
Granite. And what color is that?
Black.
Black, okay.
Nice and simple, not trying to make too much out of it, but
And that's for the walls A, B, and C, labeled
That's
A,
right.
B, and C.
That,
And-
that particular granite is along 10 West Nationwide on the Front Street side.
right. This is
Look
a wall
really good.
material we've used. That's right, along front.
And then for the wall labeled A, the landscape, is that sitting behind that
That's
wall?
behind it, yeah.
Behind it. So the wall, I think it said that those little trees are about 3 feet high, or maybe I read it was 3.5.
Yep, that's right.
So that will be a little bit higher than the wall? Or
Generally, yeah. There's a little bit of grade change there to deal with, so we're trying to sort of deal with the appearance from the front, the grade change, and the appearance from the inside.
Right, but it looks like from your rendering that when you're looking, into the courtyard, that you will see the landscape above it to some
That's right.
extent. That's good.
And there'll be signage on that wall.
No,
Is that-
We're
No,
not
on the
proposing any on those landscape walls, but Bob, but it would be on the interior island wall where you would have
okay.
opportunity for hotel signage, and then as Brian mentioned,
Upper
restaurant
left would
signage.
be the restaurant sign. If we get it, for now, it'll be
Yeah,
blank.
yeah.
So what's the material? Is that like a drive-it material where it says Hyatt Regency there? Is
granite.
that existing?
Yeah.
Well,
No, that's
but you've got a cream colored one right where her
Yeah.
marker is.
yeah, that'll be a dark granite and a light granite.
Okay.
Okay.
Other questions, comments?
The bollards.
What's that?
Help me with the bollards. Are they there? Are
Oh, the bollards are, Tony, along the face of the curb face between the automobile pavement and the sidewalk. Yeah, yeah. It's basically like a curbless situation, so we need some auto protection.
2020s.
Yeah.
We want to be able to,
Yeah.
for people to
make
navigate
sure we're-
luggage from the carport into the hotel.
Other questions, comments, anything from the audience? What's the pleasure of the group, please?
Move to approve.
There's a motion to
Second.
approve and there's a second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries. Thanks very much. Looks
you.
good.
Thank you.
That's great.
All right, so this next application is for 280 North High Street, which is located at the northeast corner of North High and East Chestnut Streets, and is the location of an 18-story office building. The applicant is seeking commission approval for exterior building modifications, landscaping, and graphics to retrofit the building to a mix of office and residential uses. Levels 1, 2, and 12 through 14 will remain office, and the rest will be residential, which includes 1 to 2 bedroom apartments. The work includes adding exterior aluminum and glass balconies, new windows, new fencing, and a lower amenity courtyard. New graphics include an illuminated monument sign, non-illuminated canopy sign, non-illuminated wall sign, and 2 vinyl window signs. And in looking at their package, I'll just quickly go through. But this is the building in question here. This is High Street, so it's just, or I'm sorry, this is North High Street here. So we have the building and then what will be a lower courtyard. This is the existing condition of the site. And then this is the proposed site plan, materials, some information about the proposed fencing, another plantings. And then moving along, we have floor plans, elevations, And then materials, and I'll let the applicant go through, but I also wanted to mention some imagery was provided to me, which was not included in the writing of the staff report, but I did want to display them on the screen as a courtesy. So we have a few renderings here, and the applicant can talk through those. And so in summary, the downtown design guidelines state that the adaptive reuse of existing buildings is generally preferable to demolition and new construction. The guidelines recommend the use of durable, high-quality materials, a high degree of transparency for ground floor spaces, and complementary landscaping. Further, they state that graphics should not dominate buildings, that wall signs be proportional to the building, that window signs be transparent in overall design and cumulatively be limited to 25% of the total glass area, and that ground signs are supported in areas with larger setbacks using durable, high-quality building materials that complement the primary structure. Ground signs should also factor in vision triangle requirements by the Building and Zoning Services Department and the Department of Public Service. The proposal is generally consistent with the downtown design guidelines, and planning staff applauds the reuse of an existing building. The commission will need to determine the appropriateness of the scale of the window signs and the inclusion of a ground sign on the site. Thank you.
Very good. Now, do I need to, do you want me to swear these folks in again? They've already all been sworn in. And do you
Oh.
have their names? Could you
Yeah,
just
we-
identify yourselves for this case?
Dan Haynes, Construct
Yeah.
Picture Studio.
Ryan Ellis, Nationwide Realty Investors.
Jeffrey Pongonis, MKSK.
Thank you.
And they have all been sworn in. Does that work for you? Or do you want us to go through?
No, they've all been sworn in, so that continues. And then I just wanted to note for the record that Mr. Pongonis has recused himself from this application and is serving as one of the applicants to present. Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you.
I'll just kick it off and then ultimately turn it over to Jeff and Dan. As I think you know, this is a challenging project. It's capital intensive, but I think it's, it gives another 45 years or longer life to this project because it's responsive to the market and what's going on there. We identified that this building really designed in the late 70s and built in the very early 80s, had a floor plate that could be adapted to, apartments, to residential use, fairly typical or fairly consistent with how we've been developing. We've developed 2,000 apartments between the Arena District and Grandview Yard, so we sort of know what the market wants to see. And we felt like we could efficiently add 148 units to this building. But the market's competitive and we can't leave anything out. We still need a strong amenity package. The questions that we asked ourselves early on is, how are we going to get outside space? Because we wouldn't build an apartment project in Columbus without balconies or patios. So that was challenge one, is how can we do that? And then also, how can we add amenities? We also wouldn't build an apartment project without access to an outside space, a pool area or something like that. And in both cases, we were able to figure that out. Not inexpensive to do, but makes sense for us to do that and still have, and Dan and Jeff will get into this, but still have it feel appropriate in an urban area. So we've got the balconies. We think that they enhance and modernize the look of the building. We have a water area, I'll say, a pool or a spa. I think large spa or small pool. Still working on the details of that, in some respects, but that's what we're going to have there. And one of the things that I really liked about where we ended up is we had a 300,000 plus square foot building to start with. All office, has always been office. And we have a few longstanding tenants, office tenants, that we are able to retain. So really the building as reconfigured will be 148 apartments, 77,000 square feet of office space, of which 50 are already committed to these to these tenants. So, and they've been very cooperative to work around this big, construction, be willing to work around this big construction project. The office portion of the project is going to be on 1, 2, 12, 13, and 14. We also have added, well, let me step back for a second. So I mentioned this pool or spa area. We had the benefit, we identified that the basement space extended beyond the footprint of the building, all the way really out to High Street, which gave us an opportunity, and ultimately what's in our plan, which is to take sort of the lid off the basement that's outside of the footprint of the building and expose a lower courtyard that's 15 feet between below the High Street grade. So here, now we have really an opportunity now to get that pool or spa amenity within the configuration of the project. So it gave us sort of that, ultimately, that green light opportunity, I think, to build a project that's going to be attractive from a market standpoint. So we're excited about it, and think we can get it all leased. We wouldn't necessarily, as I think most of you know, Nationwide, who occupied the building for most of that 45 years, not all of it, but most of it, has some surplus office space. So the way we look at it is our apartments are leased and we want more of them. And we have plenty of good office space still available for anybody that wants to be a part of the Arena District or the Nationwide area. So good response. I think it's the appropriate response to the market. I think it gives us a future for this building. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dan and Jeff to get into the details.
I think it's for approval.
All right, good. So I'll set up the site a little bit and then pass it over to Dan. And if I miss a detail on the building, Dan, let me know. So just a couple basic kind of site parameters here. The entry, you can see located at Chestnut and North High. That'll be a nice paved brick entry with a canopy over it. Not much of note on East Chestnut. Around back is just a little bit of landscape and circulation improvement there. There's also a small sign just to help visitors understand access to leasing and access to the adjacent parking garage. Then back to the front of the project.
Excuse me for a second. So
Yep.
there will be an entrance on that east side then, or no?
Yeah, Dan, do you
Yeah.
want to talk a little bit about?
Let me just for a second. The answer is yes. And really one of the benefits of this project and this site is we have a big parking garage, the Chestnut Street parking garage that's over 1,800 cars. So really, the way we look at it, practically, the real entry, the most frequented entry is going to be from the parking, both for residents, guests, and office tenants. Will come in, will approach the building across the Sky Bridge and into the building from the east side.
The existing Sky Bridge.
The existing Sky Bridge. And we have that sort of, the High Street entrance will be more of a pedestrian.
So that'll read more of an entrance than it does right now. Right now, it kind of reads the back of the office building, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be, the ceremonial entrance is going to be on High Street.
Okay.
But the practical, for people and guests that know what they're doing, they're going to come in
They
from
won't
the
have to
west.
walk all the way around and
Right.
come in
Okay.
front.
I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, that's okay.
And that back zone, as Jeff will talk to you in a bit, right now it's a little bit more of kind of loading zone, if will. So we're trying to get some plantings and just sort of upscale that piece with this.
So some modest updates and upgrades back there, as Dan mentioned. Anyway, around back to High Street, as Brian mentioned, the biggest impact to the site here is the creation of this courtyard below the sidewalk level. I think the best analog here, guys, is what Jeff Edwards did at the Preston Center. So if you think about the grade change, if you think about the expanse of the landscape and the quality of that experience, it's really a similar condition. The only difference is this is, a private
courtyard for residents. And if you'll think about your experience walking along High Street, if you do get a peekaboo view down into that garden from the sidewalk, you're going to see lots of lush landscape. You're going to see the improvements to the building that Dan will talk a little bit about, and then the sort of sidewalk condition, if you will. This is a good view. Is about a 4-foot landscape bed with a mix of evergreen and deciduous plantings, a really nicely appointed and designed screen and fence. So you can still see some light through it, but there is just a little bit of privacy for residents down in the courtyard. But it'll present a really nice elevated face along that courtyard. And then along the north edge, Belkis, could you go to the site plan? I just want to make one point and then I'll pass it over to Dan. Yeah.
Or just one, Jeff,
Yep.
1 second. One of the
Sure.
things that I didn't mention that I intended to, which is that lower courtyard, think walkout basement. We're actually putting 5 units in what was the basement in the lower level that'll face that courtyard. So we're adding 5 units there. Again, sort of think walkout basement, a lot of glass overlooking that water, the pool, the spa. And then, and also along the same lines, at the top of the building, today, the highest occupied floor is 17. We're going to put penthouse units on 18. So we're going, and that's 5 there. So we added 10 units where there wasn't any, space utilization at all. So we're excited about that. And on the 18th floor, those are two level units. So there's you take the elevator 18 and then it's a walk up within the unit itself.
Nice.
One that, the ones that are on the lower level that you just described, are those the one on sheet 29 that have the brick face?
Mhm.
Or is that something else?
Yes, those are that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I go back. or-
Yeah, why don't Dan will talk about the
Okay.
basement. Let me just click through. This is the perfect plan. So just want to make note, guys, we are adjacent to a public park. And over the course of the last, I don't know, Jim, 24 months, we made some landscape planting improvements along with Rec and Parks here. So the planting that was in Sensenbrenner Park has been upgraded a little bit. And then you'll see the blue sort of really thin line. That's essentially the property line between public and private, between the project and Sensenbrenner Park. We are making some small landscape adjustments so that we can sort of, grade or taper our way into that area. And you'll see there's a pretty expansive landscape plan in here with all the sorts of plants you'd expect us to use. But a very well landscaped and, sort of well considered transition from park down to courtyard. So there's more to go through. So maybe we pass it over to Dan and then circle back if we have detailed questions.
Yeah, I think sort of from the architectural aspect, from the overall view, maybe Belkis, I know we got you jumping around. If we can look at the renderings real quick. I think for us, if we step back and think of this whole area as the overall challenge, right? That, these buildings were built in 1980, this one was, and we wanted to sort of respect of sort of that, what was happening in that campus there, but still update it. And so I think the addition of these glass balconies really give it sort of an updated look, but still very respectful for what's in the area and sort of the campus that's happening through there, sort of a glass facets to those pieces, I think is a nice add. And so that's going to be a clear glass that we're adding. It's a metal panel on the fascia of those balconies as well too. And that we've also, as mentioned before, we've added more glazing up top where we're adding those penthouse units. You can kind of see up there that right now is just all precast. We've opened up some windows through there. And then down below, as you mentioned as well too, below grade, we're switching to a dark brick and dark cast stone details. And that we think is going to really set off this really lushly appointed plantings and stuff that's happening down there. So here are sort of those pieces that we think that.
It'll have a look of the foundation being exposed.
Exactly, but it'll be, I think, and it allowed us to find those additional, both we have a clubhouse down there and 5 units that walk out and have sort of a private zone happens in there. You can see, we went through a lot of expense and thought to preserve that existing oak on our property piece there. So it's a wonderful tree and we're trying to keep that in existence. So I think that's broad scopes of what we're trying to do architecturally.
I think this is a good building for conversion because of the shape of it. So many of these buildings are square and deep.
Big
You can't get good units because, you can't get to the edge. And the way this works out, the floor plan looks like it works really
Yeah.
well.
Pretty well, pretty efficient.
So the office floors are sort of in the middle of this.
Yeah. That,
That sounds
which
like a
which
nightmare.
adds to the challenge,
Yeah. Brian,
but
you
it
wanna make
also,
easy.
it adds to the challenge, but it also is responsive to where we had these existing
Yeah,
tenants.
yeah.
And we had to move one and one we kept. The longest standing tenant is taking about half. They're taking all of 13 and half of 12. And we didn't want to relocate them. They didn't want to relocate and we didn't want to relocate them. So one of our design challenges to our mechanical engineer was, can we keep them there and still get the stacks
Lovely.
to flow past them? And we were able to do it. And that was a sort of a big moment. in the
Balconies
design.
on their floors,
Yeah.
right? So from the outside, we're not going to
Right.
see.
They all have balconies. We, happy, changed it. We said, we'd like to add balconies to your, to your office space. And of course, that's a positive.
Yeah.
And then as markets change, right, we have that flexibility of what goes up or down kind of a thing.
Yeah.
On the north side on floors 1 and 2, it looks like, and maybe 3, is that office space in there then? Where
One-
that section sticks out from the north of the
One and
building
two.
there?
1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the whole 1 and 2 floors.
Well, there's a lot of common area on 1 and 2.
Okay.
When you come into that high street entrance, you really traditionally have gone up an escalator
Yeah.
really up to 2.
Right.
And on 1, there's a lot of back of house there. It's but we do have some decent office space availability on 1 and 2, but it's a good mix. It's a big mix between common area and office space.
And it allows that transition, like we talked about at the beginning, from the pedestrian entrance on High Street up to that sky bridge. And that's happening up between 1 and 2.
I have a comment and a question. First, I think the balconies are just a brilliant idea, how you've done that and how it adds so much,
Yeah, we think so.
something unique to the building, but it's also so functional. And I'm wondering with those balconies, if that was something that, because it looked like on the original building, there's those angled edges that are like part of a curtain wall. Did you open those up and use the infrastructure of the floor for the balconies, or are the balconies extensions
We are,
out from that?
we didn't want to make it easy on ourselves. We are putting new balcony structures, threading it into that existing structure.
Okay, so that's in addition, in other words, that's coming out beyond the
coming out
building.
beyond,
Okay,
yes.
that wasn't, okay. And then my question is, can you go over the glazing, like in the packet? You mentioned that you're replacing windows and you're replacing spandrel glass, and can
Right.
you go over the
Sure.
extent of that and the color of
So
that?
where at those said balconies where we're opening those pieces up
Mhm.
and we're removing that curtain wall system and replacing them.
Okay.
For all of the stuff that we are replacing, we're putting like with like so that we've got the same consistency of the glazing that's happening through there. There are larger sections along the way that we are keeping the existing glazing in place. We are going through and looking at ways of making sure that we've got the thermal protections that we need. We're doing insulation to the walls and stuff for that. And we're putting the clear glass down on the balconies themselves. And where we've opened up some areas that span multiple levels, that's where we will have some of that spandrel material put back in place as well too, sort of like with like, if that makes sense.
So is every window on the project being replaced or
No.
not? Just, okay, but everything is being matched to existing?
Everything is being matched to what's existing there, correct? And our color palettes are also working off of, because we want to be respectful to our neighbors as well and making sure we're part of that campus piece. So our metal colors are matching and our glazing is matching as well.
And what was the original glazing color? Is that pretty much clear or is that a heavily tinted?
It's sort of a bronze color, so if you can notice the way that sort of.
1980.
Sort of here, sort of, you know, this is how they got thermal protection back in the day. They had to go to the darker piece, so we're going with that darker glazing.
Will that, if you're in an apartment, will you feel that there's enough transparency?
I don't think that from the inside out, you're going to.
Notice it.
It's not noticeable.
Okay.
Yeah, and we've experienced that sort of in our other condominium projects, you know, that we did in the early aughts where those were dark glazing as well too. I don't think it's noticeable.
Okay,
inside.
that's great.
Other questions, comments? Anything from the audience?
One, just if I could, I know you're getting to the end, which is good, but just comment about when you'll note there, right there, 280 high. I want to comment just a second on the name because it's still in process and candidly, we've made a decision to change. We were early on headed towards 280 high, which is essentially the address. Made a decision to name the building the Centennial on High. And the Centennial is a reference to the fact that Nationwide has its 100th anniversary on April 14th of 2026. So we're coming up on our 100th anniversary. So this is a nod towards that, a little bit almost of a thank you from a community standpoint for all the support over 100 years. So we wanted to incorporate that in and go beyond the 280 high. So we're going to have to, I think, come back
That's fine.
and do
Signage.
the signage.
That's fine.
We still have more work to do on that. There's been sort of nods to it and references to certain signage pieces here, but we've got more work to do on that and we're changing the name. So
Anything on the lighting then that happens then?
I think we're not changing any of the lighting that we have in this package here. So we are adding some new lighting at balconies, and we've also added some small lighting around at the pedestrian areas to.
So we would be approving what you have in
I
the
would-
package.
I would
And the
ask
same
that the
thing on
lighting
the
would be-
lower courtyard as well.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions for anybody?
I just had one quick question
Okay.
about the lower courtyard. So is that, I understand that's recessed from High Street. Within that because I see that there are curb, like not curb cuts, but let's say just curbs around the landscaping. Are those all at the same level or are there some grade changes or
It's a
tiered?
terracing system.
It's a
right?
terracing
So that
system.
we're approximately 15 feet below grade.
Mhm.
And what we're using is we're trying to get as much landscaping and lushness down there as possible. So we're using terrace steps to get, greenery to fall down on top of that.
Okay, so what we're seeing here, these are terrace steps
Those are
where we
terrace
see the
steps,
curbs.
Correct.
Those are the terrace steps. Okay.
Other questions? Okay, what's the pleasure of the group then, folks?
I move approval.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second, please? Okay, there's a second. The motion is on the floor.
Who is second?
Okay. Yep, Tony. Any other questions? Anything from the audience? Anybody? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
Great-
See you guys
great
again.
project.
Thank you. And who moved? I didn't catch the voice. Who moved that
Oh,
up?
Bob did.
Oh, Bob. Okay,
Motion by
that was-
Bob and second by Tony.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. That's gonna be a nice project.
That's
Say
good.
They do a good job.
Mhm.
What do you think about this? About a Jared's house?
Pardon?
What do you think about this one?
We've had that before. We've told them no before. Same way. Tear down a house and build parking lot. No.
Well, do that six space.
Yes.
I know, it's tough.
Okay.
I know, those are exciting, huh? Keeping that.
All right. So this next application is for 195 South Washington Avenue. This site is located at the southwest corner of South Washington Avenue and East Walnut Street and holds a vacant residential structure built in 1900. The applicant is seeking commission approval to demolish the structure and construct 3 asphalt surface parking spaces. Submitted materials include site photos, a demolition plan, and a site plan. And in looking at those, we have a few existing site condition photos here. I also have the Google Street View pulled up too, if we want to look at that. And then just a site plan of what's there currently. So noting the existing structure here at the corner. And then this is the proposed site plan, noting the demolition of that structure and then the added parking spaces here. After review, the Downtown District Code states that a COA should be issued for a proposed replacement use or building or a plan detailing how the property will be maintained prior to issuance of a demolition permit. The Downtown District Code does not permit a non-accessory surface parking use, and the Downtown Design Guidelines state that non-accessory parking lots are not an appropriate replacement use for a raised building. The guidelines note that maximizing the investment potential of a given site is encouraged, but so is preservation of existing building stock. They recommend that in cases where demolition does occur, reclamation of building materials for reuse is encouraged. Further, the guidelines encourage the commissioners to consider if the building is in a deteriorated state such that it cannot economically be rehabilitated, and if demolition would allow for new development, which in their opinion is of greater significance to the character of the surrounding area. The guidelines call for new parking lots to be screened with a masonry wall, a combination of masonry piers and decorative metal fencing between 3 and 4 feet in height, set within a minimum 3-foot planting bed, or an alternative that achieves the screening of the parking lot. The proposed non-accessory parking lot replacement use is inconsistent with the Downtown District Code and Downtown District Guidelines. The commission will need to consider if the demolition would allow for new development, which in their opinion is of greater significance to the character of the surrounding area, and if a HABs Light report is needed to document the building if demolition were to be approved. Staff recommends that if approved, the parking lot use be screened from the right-of-way per the design guidelines. Thank you.
All right. Could you identify yourselves for the record, please?
Yes, my name's Mike Preiser. I'm with the Track Group. I'm the general contractor representing the client or the tenant for the space.
Okay.
The owner.
Yeah, the owner.
Beth Reel with Darren Ranker Architects.
Okay. Could you raise your right hands? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say I do.
Do.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Go ahead.
Obviously, in light of the comments from the Downtown Area Commission, we've spoken to the owner and they would love to still demolish the building, but replace it with green space in lieu of a parking lot. The existing structure is in much needed disrepair. I wasn't able to access interior pictures of the building at the time of submittal. I did print some here. I'm more than happy to share those with the group.
That's okay if you'd like to pass that around. Yeah.
Yeah, so in talking with the owner of the property, you know, when we got the review back about the parking spaces, in their mind, they're not worried about adding 3 parking spaces. That's not really their concern with the property. It's more the building's so dilapidated that they're more concerned for the safety of the public of the building falling. I mean, it's right on the corner of the street, right up against the sidewalk. So they're more concerned for the safety of, you know, people parking in the existing lot or people walking around the building. So they're, again, they're not really concerned. 3 parking spots to them isn't as important as the safety. So if it's putting in green space, you know, putting in a decorative wall or something like that, then they'd be more than happy to do that instead of, they just want the building down more than anything else.
Okay. Questions, comments?
This building has come to us before with the same request, and we said no for the same reason, which is we don't tear down buildings to make parking lots or green space. And the fact that the building's in disrepair is called demolition by neglect. The owner is responsible to keep the building in reasonable condition.
I don't know when
Yeah.
our client purchased this lot. I'm not sure.
I'm sorry. I can't hear you. Feel free to use that speaker if you'd like to.
I'm not sure when our client purchased the lot of the building. So I'm not 100% sure.
It might have been a different owner.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what condition they purchased
Okay.
this property.
Yeah, we're not sure how long they've had it
Yeah.
or anything. It was
Okay.
just the request of them through us to explore this.
Okay. Other questions, comments? Comments? Nothing? Anything from the audience? Questions, comments?
I had a question. When you were giving your presentation, who did you say was concerned about the safety of the building?
The property owner.
The property owner.
Mhm.
Okay.
This is
What-
staff. Were any structural reports garnered by the owner or any structural engineering reports that documents any safety concerns?
Doesn't look to me like it's falling down.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I reached out to the building department and they essentially said that to go through this process first before they would do anything to look at the building.
Okay. Thank you.
Guys, what's the pleasure of the group here? Is there a motion in some form?
This is another good example that we've seen where we want the applicant to actually be here, the property owner, person that, you know, is ultimately going to be hearing the news and how we vote rather than the representatives.
Okay.
Yes.
Where do we go here? What's the,
I'll move approval.
okay,
So we can go.
there's a motion to approve.
Second.
There's a second. The motion is on the floor. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor, say aye. Those opposed, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Abstentions? Okay, that's whatever it is, 2, 4, 6 nay, and so this application has been denied.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so this last application, this is a conceptual review. This is for 66 South Third Street. And this site is comprised of 7 parcels bounded by South Third Street to the west, East Capitol Street to the north, South Lozelle Street to the east, and East State Street to the south. The site contains surface parking lots and one potentially contributing structure built between 1951 and 1954, which held a former bank. The applicant is seeking conceptual feedback from the commission to demolish the existing structure and construct a mixed-use building with a 12-story parking and residential tower and a 7-story office building separated by a courtyard and joined at levels 1 and 2. Materials include limestone veneer, brick, cast stone, and aluminum window wall systems. And submitted materials include historic photos provided by planning staff, existing photos, demolition plan, site plan, floor plans, elevations, and sections. And just quickly looking, this is an aerial from 1952. This is the site here at the corner, so it looks very similar to today. You have the existing former bank structure, surface parking. And then this is an aerial also from 1952 showing a more straight-on view of the site. And then this is the applicant's packet, and I'll let them go through it, but it's just the standard drawings we look for. The downtown design guidelines state that maximizing the investment potential of a given site is encouraged, but so is preservation of existing building stock. The guidelines state that the downtown district code requires a COA for demolitions and that a replacement use or plan be approved by the downtown commission. The guidelines encourage the commissioners to consider if demolition would allow for new development, which in their opinion is of greater significance to the character of the surrounding area. And for new construction, the guidelines recommend a high level of design for front-facing facades, high-quality durable materials, lighting that minimizes light spill, transparent storefronts, and parking structures that have a high level of architectural detail and exclude blank walls adjacent to the public right-of-way. And the proposal is generally consistent with the downtown design guidelines, and staff anticipate exterior lighting and landscaping details in a future application submission. Thank you.
Very good. Could you identify yourselves for the record, please?
Josh Thomas with Kephart.
Tom Morano, the Edwards Companies.
David Maleka with Moody Nolan.
Would you folks raise your right hands? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, walk us through what you're looking at here.
So the project is a mixed-use development. We are looking to demolish the existing bank building that occupies the center of the site here, as well as the parking kiosk. What we will be replacing it with is 161 residential units, approximately 360 parking structured stalls, so the 7 floors of office space on the right-hand side of these plans, and elevations, and then the apartment building to the left. Residential floors are from level 5 through 11 with a level 12 amenitized roof. Parking structure exists level 4 down into 2 floors of the basement. There is green roof at level 3 between the 2 buildings for the office tenant, and then there's a passive courtyard for the residential portion of the building that's central to the building, and then 12 has exterior amenity to the edge with some green roofs plantings anticipated up there. Fitness amenity, clubhouse, your standards for an apartment package. At the ground floor, we're looking from left to right with TI improvement spaces, potentially commercial kitchens, restaurant space, leasing in the center portion where we've kind of got the glass feature separating the buildings for the residential portion. And then to the right, we have a couple of tenant spaces for the office as well. And then central to that is their main entry into a 2-height leasing or 2-height entry lobby as they access up to their office floors and conference rooms.
So the entire building on the right is offices. Is that
Yes.
correct? Correct. Okay. And then what portion did you say the first 3 floors or something on the building on the left is office?
On the left, it's residential.
The entire building?
Yes, there's parking structure to level 4 where you see the dark mask kind of
Oh, I
mimicking the glazing above. That's parking garage behind with the level 1 12-foot finished ceilings in there to give us our kind of improvement spaces.
You're anticipating retail or tenant space all the way across on the first floor, right?
Correct. Yes, along
On the building on the left, not on the
Oh,
right.
both buildings.
for both buildings.
Both buildings,
Yeah.
except for the.
Even in
except
the
for the
office
entrance.
building, you're gonna have.
The entirety of Third Street
retail.
facing is the intent to have active space.
Yeah, and it
retail.
even wraps on State a little bit.
Yeah.
Halfway down on State.
All main entries come off of Third, back of house functions are coming off of the Lozelle Street and some of State Street.
I had a question about on State Street and the first level. I know this is schematic, so you're still working things out, but it looks like some of the utilitarian functions, I've forgotten what they are, and I can't really see it from here. I think one was fire and one was, I don't remember, off on the right hand.
Loading stairs, electrical.
Halfway.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if, as you work this out more, if there's a way to make that State Street as, maybe as transparent as you can, and maybe add more retail or commercial to some, I know you can't for all of the areas, but maybe to try to, make that as much as, expand that as much as you can, because State is such a prominent street. And I know you have functions to think about and where they're going to go, but maybe that's something that could be studied, how you could maximize the frontage on State Street.
Is there an elevation of, oh, there it is.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
Is it A019, are those or no? Is there a State Street elevation?
Yes, I know there is on the packet. I don't remember where.
State Street, let's see, is on A019.
This, yeah,
That's State Street
South
right
elevation.
there.
South elevation.
Oh,
the south elevation. Right here.
sorry.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, so
while
you're talking about the frontage and the activation of the streetscape, is that right?
Yeah, I'm saying that when you look at this, it looks like, of course you have the bay all the way to the right, and I think that's something that is mechanical with
I
louvers.
think that's the generator.
Right, generator.
Yep.
But I think other than that, it looks like from this rendering that those are maybe
Usable.
commercial or
Yeah.
retail, but I think
In
some
the
of
floor
them.
plan, they don't look like.
Yeah, they're not,
the commercial retail portion wraps back like the first two bays, and then those next three are utility spaces, but designed to look like they're still retail from the outside.
Okay, so yeah, I'd maybe just study them and see what that would look, what that's going to look like.
So is that just like dark glass or something on there?
We
Don't know
typically
yet.
don't use dark glass at the street level. It's always clear, but,
Well, but
probably
if it's
need to
clear, you
figure out
gotta have,
what's
you gotta
inside
look
of
at
there,
something.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, there's offices, I think, on the third bay and the fourth bay, some sort of meeting space. But again, we get into kind of the N2 bays are the required, water access and things that the fire department wants direct access off their major streets. So some of those we're going to be dealing with.
Yeah.
Well, I
The
would
fourth-
say,
the
I would
fourth
say that
bay-
if you had two of those that were that kind of thing,
I
kind of
think it's
blank
that's-
spaces,
I think that's
as
basically
opposed
what
to-
we're going to be showing here is 2 bays of it are more of a utilitarian area. The rest of
Yeah,
it,
the
I think
fourth
we-
bay looks like a room. It doesn't say what it is, but
Yeah, so from right to left there, those first two window bays, that's where back of house utility space is really planned for, and then it moves into workrooms, offices, and then in the middle two, and then retail space.
but even if it's a utility kind of space, I mean, you still might figure out a way to make it almost visual on the
That's our
inside.
goal, is to activate that.
I think you're hearing that as a comment, and I would agree with that. And
yeah, just something that, study it and see, because it's a prominent street and we want to see transparency, especially on a prominent street and prominent facade, how you can work with the function and also the aesthetics.
I love that row of glass there on what is, I guess, the third floor there. That's very handsome, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, I also want to recognize that you guys are putting a lot of retail on the ground floor, and we see that here.
Mhm.
Just trying to
Big deal.
understand the State Street frontage
Big deal.
Right.
more than be critical of the plan, especially in,
Right.
how easy it is to lease retail space
that-
downtown.
That
Right.
faces the Bricker Eckler building, which is a really
Yeah.
nice building. So that's a great corner right
It'll be
there.
a very interesting, very nice corner, be a better corner.
the lawyers can be looking at each other.
Yeah.
Show us that,
Paper airplanes across. the
show us
street.
that west elevation again, Belkis, could you?
Oh, sure.
By the way, just everybody remember, this is a conceptual hearing, so what we're doing is just chatting about this and you're getting impressions and this kind of thing. So that glass band there on the third floor goes around on the west side. Again, I think that's great. And I also like that glass entry there of about 3 floors there, it looks like, where you go in there. I think that's handsome. And that would be basically lobby for the office building, right? So to the extent that there's retail, it's either side of that entry.
Yes.
And so the building on the right, guys, is maybe more traditional in nature in terms of stone coursing and corbelling or whatever we're looking at. And the building on the left is more sort of loft warehouse concrete kind of structure.
Yeah,
thing
tell us
in
what you're
spirit.
thinking about on elevations, or I mean on materials.
On the left, yeah, it's a modern industrial take on it with cast stone grid, really utilizing the window mullion system to create this grid pattern with depth and texture as we go off of the cast stone and into the window system. So there will be layers of material and on the curtain wall system that we do to add depth to that facade. That
I was
isn't
gonna ask, do you think that building is flat?
the white background pattern is more flat, but then as we get into the window system, that's where your texture is going to come through with projections off of the system.
Now, and how would that work?
Projection or depth?
The additions of mullion depth beyond like the standard 2 to 4 inch depths, we'd be going to 6 inches or 8 inches outward from the face of the building in order to add that.
What would the horizontal bands be in there, the dark ones in between the
Like
white?
metal panel.
The black, the dark is a metal panel spandrel infill at our floor lines within the curtain wall.
The
So-
other thing you're not really reading when you look at this elevation is there are balconies that.
That's what I was gonna ask. Okay.
So you can kind of see where the railings are, but
Yeah.
there's some
So
bays.
they would
that are-
just, they'd do a window system, they'd set back in and
Correct.
Yeah.
there'd be some access to the outside.
Yeah.
What's your idea on how deep that would be then?
They're approximately 5 feet deep from the face of the building back in.
And the parking garage screening, what are you thinking that would be?
We're looking at similar spandrel panel with a cross hatched metal wire infill to add some texture to the system so that it's not just a flat plane, but that would tie into what we're doing up at the fitness and amenity level.
So it's solid, they're solid panels, it's not open?
No, they're not open.
It'd be like a wire mesh, but a really tight mesh that's probably 20–30% visible through.
Does that get
That gets-
lit or does it just go black at night or what's?
Well, I guess the garage would be lit inside behind it. So, you
So there'd be
would
some
see-
kind
you'd
of-
see through it at night a little bit. Well, much more than in the daytime, but.
Did you say that for the parking screening, some of that is spandrel, or did I misunderstand?
No,
It's not,
no, there wouldn't be spandrel glass on it.
right,
It would be like a mesh panel.
a mesh, okay, you said. I think that whatever you do there, and it can be very simple, but I think because again, it's a very prominent facade, you're looking out to the, Capitol Square. I think it should really be unique and really,
Maybe a little more articulation,
Yeah,
similar to the
something-
bays of windows above where it's.
see, right, something where maybe when you're studying it and working on it, thinking of it more as a standalone architectural piece so that not just, okay, this is just some wire meshing and the rest of the building is more articulated, but somehow that you can make it, and again, it can be very simple and elegant, but a design element in itself so that it looks very deliberate and that, this is contributing to the facade in some way.
And I guess I would say that I love kind of industrial buildings, but I think you want to be real careful about how much of an industrial building you're kind of transposing opposite.
In
state
that location. Yeah.
In that location. So I mean, just that's something you might work through the thought process. Tell us about the little building in the middle there, that's two-story thing here with the glass in the front of it. Is that on the street, same frontage? It's pushed back?
Pushed back a few feet. That's really the entry to it. Is that really the specific entry to our leasing center?
Yes, it is. So on the right-hand side, there's the column established by the corner of that building. That is approximately a foot back from the property line. And then from there, we step the building, the glass module back an additional 2 feet. So we've got a 3-foot relief from the property line in that area. And then as we move left to the apartment structure, we come back out to the property line, more of a zero property line condition. So you get some articulation.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry, as you come back to what now?
So on the left-hand side, we're right against our property line, pretty much zero of setback. Then at the glass, 2-story building, we're 3 feet back.
Okay.
And then the column to the right there, that comes forward 2 feet in front of that glass
So
building.
that's set back a foot maybe from the front property line?
Yeah, and then there's recesses in that black.
And the idea on that is just to add a little broader sidewalk or in front of the.
why is that
system?
not
Yeah,
coming
just
out
a
to
little
the-
hyphen between the two kind of towers to separate.
No,
them.
but why is the Warriors building not coming out to the sidewalk, to the property line?
So it comes within a foot of the property line. That was the design decision on that side to allow the building to return back and establish like a prominent corner on that to the glass building. But as far as why isn't it coming out directly to the property line, I'd have to.
I don't know.
Look to the design team that's really influencing that particular building.
But it's within inches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does the 2 to 3 story building in the middle there, does that go from all the way through the property?
It does. It goes all the way back to Lozelle.
Yeah.
Yeah, from.
Anything, I see trees on the roof. Is the idea is that that's something?
That's an amenity plaza for Voorhees. And so that's really dedicated to their office building and they've got, they plan to use it. That glass floor in their building really is intended to spill out.
Outside.
Okay.
That for events.
So that glass could just turn the corner.
It does, yeah. They've got their kind of conference rooms and
Okay.
meeting rooms on that 3rd floor and they anticipate everybody just spilling out onto there for events.
Now, that's it's going to be a shaded thing. I mean, it's going to be hard to grow
Yeah.
You're gonna have to, okay.
Is that, Voorhees courtyard and the one in the, that's for the building, are they connected in any way? Are they on the same level?
They're not at the
There's-
same level.
One is 4 and one is 3, or?
One is at 5, one is at 3. There's no plan to have those two interconnect.
Okay.
What is your facade on Voorhees there? It looks like stone. Is that the one that's supposed to be cast stone of some sort or another?
Yeah, so the lower part of the building is either, we're looking at cast stones and we're looking at real stones, so we're kind of looking at both.
But that kind of blondish color, then
Yeah,
stone
we're
color?
we're sort of been looking at the State House and kind of going back and forth with, how close we're gonna be to that stone. We really wanted to use that stone. We obviously can't get it, so.
Well, I think, don't they have
They
some
used
in,
it all up.
they have some in New Hampshire, don't they? You can get.
I don't know. We
Not-
asked,
not to
the
match
quarries,
that.
basically everybody locally said
No.
that quarry's closed and
Oh, really?
can't touch it, so.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
good. So what, but,
So above that is brick. It'll be a light colored brick.
Oh,
It's
okay.
Complementary.
Yeah.
That's, you can see there's a lot of corbelling above the windows. So
Yeah.
he's gonna have a lot of depth to him. And then again, metal, there's kind of a metal, header above that window and kind of a metal infill. And then the top floor is a metal panel. It's kind of got a scallop that we're looking at right now. We're also studying that could be possibly bronze or some other type of material, but in flux, but it definitely metal.
okay. Again, these folks are here for conceptual. Any thoughts, it's, looks like a fantastic project to me. My only comment would be careful on the industrial warehouse building, which it just doesn't want to seem like it's out of context. You know what I mean?
That's a pretty.
If this were an industrial area,
Yeah.
if this were an industrial area, then, and it fits in, if it's on Capitol Square, I don't know.
Right.
I like that point too. And also, like right now, it's been this way for a while, but things that look very industrial are, popular or fashionable. But because this is the courthouse square, you think, well, 40, 50 years, will that still be fashionable? So maybe try to think, yes, it will, but what are the aspects of that design that will, continue to be classic and will be able to, like, not trendy, but have longevity to them in terms of good design. And sometimes it's hard to do when you're living, through an era. But I just had a quick question about the original bank building facade. And if you could talk a little bit about that. I know it was built in, I think, the 40s or the 50s, and it's just a facade. It's just the facade. Behind it is, it's just a very plain building. But just wanted to know, before you started working on the project, had you ever thought of incorporating part of the facade into the design? If you had, if HRC had ever commented on it, if it holds any significance of, maybe not architecturally exactly,
When
but
when we started, the first schemes we looked at were keeping that facade and having that be the entry to like our leasing office, and it's just, it's in the worst spot on the site. It straddles the
Well, of course, the irony is it's kind of in the middle. It's off center, I guess. But so what you've actually literally done is put a, big building and low,
right, but it doesn't.
and you
It's not in
can't,
the right spot for
it's
that.
hard to move it then.
Right. And so we've obviously looked at keeping it. I think when we're talking to the demo contractors, we're intending to salvage the freestanding columns on the front, the composite columns. And there's also a medallion up in the pediment. You can see a carved medallion, and we would salvage that. We always reuse that stuff on future projects, and we're involved in this cap line that's happening around Columbus, and I think we probably find a spot somewhere to reuse those. But the remainder of the building around the back it's all been parged with something, that red stuff, and that's
called
that's-
granulite probably. And
yeah,
that's all just brick anyway, isn't it? On
it
the
is.
sides?
It is. Yeah.
It's actually like the overspray that you would put on masonry to give it a new appearance as opposed to a traditional.
Yeah.
yeah, because it is interesting. It has a nice scale, and I just wanted to know what you thought, and I like the fact that you're salvaging it because I think at the right project, it might be.
I think, given the prominence of that building and the fact that it's been sitting there vacant all this time, it would be a good idea to document it before you tear it down.
Yes.
For sure.
Mhm.
Yep.
I don't have any issue, we don't tear buildings down unless we have something better to put in its place. And clearly, this project will meet that criteria, so I don't have any tears for this building, but I do think we should document it for the future.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Anything?
Great
Anything
project,
from the
great
audience?
definition. I am a little worried
Okay.
about the same stuff that Steve is, the sort of industrial building there, but I trust your judgment and I'm sure you'll keep pushing through here.
I would encourage you to look at that. When I looked at this and heard you describe the planes of the three different buildings, but then I looked at the plan and it's really flat. I'd really encourage you to like push the leasing center back
Yeah, that's an
6
easy one.
feet or something, enough to make a
Maybe,
difference.
maybe 10 feet and have a
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
elegant,
Yeah.
little
Green
green
Yeah.
space and, yeah,
Just-
which is, there's an opportunity there.
Give it more articulation.
And frankly, if you had something green growing, it's it's a place to put a little, accent in between those buildings there. So that's kind of an easy one to me if you were gonna think about something like, you're gonna give up a few square feet, but not that much.
The leasing center.
Okay, you guys have any questions for us or?
What's your schedule?
As fast as possible.
We're looking to be back here for the April meeting for our final presentation with proceeding through a fast track foundation set and then a few work sets to get to our
Great.
ultimate design. So
Okay, well, you've heard our comments.
Excellent. Thank you.
yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Great.
All right.
What else do we have
So
here?
the last two things on the agenda are approving the staff approved cases into the record. And then also just for some 2026 housekeeping, doing a vote for the chair and vice chair for 2026.
Okay. Real quick, could we have a motion to approve the staff approved applications, please?
I moved.
Great, thank you, Trudy. And second,
Second?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, that's approved.
Okay.
And what do you want to do next then? Approve
Yeah, just a motion and approval for the chair and vice chair, and then just stating
Okay.
the names of who y'all would like for those positions for this year.
okay,
I move Steve Whitman to be the chair and Jana Maniaci to be vice chair.
second. There's a second. Discussion, approval.
All right, thank
All
you.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you all. That's
Thank you.
it for this month.
Okay, thanks,
Appreciate it.
everybody. Appreciate you being here. We had 2 meetings in one, I guess, wrapped
Yeah.
up today, so we've got a little longer than we usually do, but good stuff.